Many of you may ask, what is so important about all these meetings that CAIPA has been having over the years? Why do we host an annual CAIPA General Assembly? Well, I can tell you that last year, CAIPA's members recognized the document called the Guide to the Election of the Board of Directors, in which the purpose of the CAIPA meetings is very clearly defined. The AGM of CAIPA's AGM is the highest policy setting body of the association. The assembly is convened each year in either November or December for the purpose outlined in section B6 of that guide that I referred to. And it says specifically, first and foremost, the assembly is to provide a report and update to the membership on the implementation of program activities and achievements for the year. It has also to plan the work program for the upcoming year. It has to allow for the election of new officers to the board of directors, and that happens on a biennial basis every 2 years. And we usually see some of our colleagues at that event every 2 years. We don't see them in between, and I would not mention names here. It is also aimed at treating with any other policy-making issue for which decisions are required by the AGM. The fifth purpose is to build and expand the CAIPA network by increasing the association's visibility, and may I also add, by increasing its membership, which we hope to do at this event today. Sixthly, it is to treat with particular issues of relevance to the membership. 7, to honor the Regional Investor of the Year Award. 8, to honor the Regional Investment Promotion Agency, IPA, with the IPA of the Year Award. The last 2 activities will not be hosted this year, as we anticipate the hosting of a specific event in March 2016, where these activities will then be hosted. We will hear more about this in our deliberations over the next 2 days. But it is at the CAIPA AGM that we put in place the mechanisms necessary to realize the goals and objectives of CAIPA. As the umbrella association for investment promotion agencies in the Caribbean, CAIPA's specific role and fundamental role is to provide a vehicle for increasing foreign direct investments into the region. And that every single leader of the region, both at the political level and at the institutional level, has remarked on the nexus between the flow of cogent, sustainable direct investment and sustainable economic development. That is something that is well accepted. So the role of CAIPA is directly related to the development prospects of the region. Our members have seen the benefit of the association over the years, and they have registered a more than 80% satisfaction rate with CAIPA in 2014, and an average 85% payment of membership fees for 2013 and 2014. I think it is safe to say, given those facts, that our members are indeed committed to CAIPA, not just the idea, but the institution. In 2014 and again in 2015, we staged a number of activities where our members had to fund themselves, and for all of them, we have had excellent participation and feedback. Namely, study tours to Pro-Nicaragua, to JAMPRO, and to Pro-Colombia, and more recently, the London Investment Summit and Best Practices Mission to Mexico. Studies and training that would have been of significant cost to CAIPA members have been reduced through our collaborative action, and our members have been exposed to best practices in investment promotion with some renowned experts in the field working with us on various projects. In fact, just earlier this year in St. Lucia, we had a reinvestment seminar that was very well regarded, and that was facilitated by FDI Intelligence and WaveTech. And FDI Intelligence, as you know, is a subsidiary of the Financial Times. We have recently embarked on efforts to attract investors to the region with significant benefits for our members. Among these include our outward mission to London for the Caribbean Investment Summit and to Mexico 2 weeks ago. But we do look forward to upping the ante with the development of state-of-the-art platforms to display our investment-ready projects to potential investors. That would involve the monitoring of our investment data as well as our potential clients through a client relationship management system, and as well as to drive our investment promotion on the basis of well-researched information and benchmarking data on our priority sectors of our FDI data repository. All of those are supposed to take place before mid-2016. And let me just say that for a substantial number, perhaps too many of our investment promotion agencies, particularly the small ones, we have not necessarily embraced the very clear but sometimes not well appreciated investment promotion trajectory. If you are going to promote investments and you're not specific, then you will get what is not specific. Our own experience is that if you say you come to invest and you allow investors to come and determine what they will invest in, usually what you get is 9 out of 10 persons coming to you with nothing but ideas. And usually when they are real investments, it may not always be consonant with the development objectives of the region. In fact, just last week at Rio, at the 9th annual Developing Country Negotiators, Investment Negotiators meeting, UNCTAD had a study that showed that in many instances in developing countries, the effects of investment were actually negative. There was a greater net outflow with some foreign direct investments. And in some instances, there were also deleterious effects on the environment. There was, in some instances, a compromise of social equity issues. And of course, the economic development targets were not met and were actually compromised. So that is something that we have to be very careful about, how we target investments. First of all, you have to target the opportunities, you have to create the opportunities, you have to present them in an investment or shovel-ready manner, and then you match potential investors who have a cost of dealings in investing in that specific area to those opportunities. And that is an art, that is a science, and that is what CAIPA has worked very stridently with its members to achieve. Our way forward must therefore focus on the following goalposts. Firstly, how do we determine our sustainability given funding challenges? Worldwide support to investment promotion agencies is drying up. And where funding is available, many of our donors are opting for a regional approach, which itself is good for CAIPA, but these resources are very scarce and the competition for them is very strong. We are scheduled to receive support, as I said earlier, from the 11th EDF, but that seems, at the moment, some ways to come, and we hope, Mr. Murray, you can make it come even faster. We have to turn our attention to diversifying our income streams and seeking other means of ensuring that the work that we have begun continues and the momentum is sustained. Our next effort will be to focus on further integrating the region and widening our membership so that we accurately represent the name we so proudly carry.
CAIPA will receive resources from the Caribbean Regional Indicative Program of the 11th European Development. We have signed an agreement at CARIFORUM with the European Union that is valued at 346 million euro. And one of the areas of focus is trade and private sector development. And within that context, we have made specific mention of the investment function. And we have in fact identified CAIPA as a strategic partner with CARIFORUM in that particular area. Our objective in discussion with Caribbean Export is to see whether or not we can make these resources, these additional resources, available to CAIPA in a seamless manner so as not to affect the current operations of CAIPA in any negative manner. In fact, we engaged up to last week in negotiations and discussions with the European Union, where we have prioritized the Caribbean Trade and Private Sector Development Program as our top priority program for financing from that particular source during 2016. And the resources for CAIPA are provided within that particular context. And we will continue those efforts to try to provide whatever support we can to the agency. In fact, in our informal talks in the corridors, your chairman and myself are trying to see if we can make some time during the course of week after next to discuss more funding opportunities. And at that time, I will advise them of other opportunities that I myself, as Director General of CARIFORUM, have been exploring on a bilateral basis with individual friendly European governments who have an interest in supporting such activities in the region. At the same time, I want to welcome or to express my own satisfaction and appreciation of the interest shown by Cuba in CAIPA. As you know, Cuba is a member of CARIFORUM, and I would encourage all members of CARIFORUM to become active members of CAIPA, so that the resources that we provide not only strengthen CAIPA, but provide direct services to the members of CARIFORUM as to the associates, as well as to the associates of CARIFORUM.
I appreciate very much the opportunity to share UNCTAD's views on emerging trends in global FDI flows, the current outlook for FDI, and the role that we think investment promotion will have in sustainable development. As UNCTAD reported in June this year at the launch of the World Investment Report, in 2014, global FDI inflows fell by 16% to just over $1.2 trillion US. This decline can be attributed to several factors, including the fragility of the global economy, political uncertainty for investors, and elevated geopolitical risk in particular regions. But despite this downturn, FDI inflows to developing countries rose by 2% to $681 billion US, the highest level yet. Developing countries now actually account for 55% of global FDI inflows. The low level of flows to developed countries persisted in 2014. Despite the revival of cross-border mergers and acquisitions, which increased even further during the first half of this year, overall FDI flows to this group of economies declined in 2014 by 28% to just below $500 billion US. Divestments and large swings in intra-company loans reduced inflows to the lowest levels for developed countries since 2004. In 2014, China became the world's largest recipient. Among the top 10 FDI recipients in the world, 5 are now developing economies: China, Hong Kong, China, Singapore, Brazil, and India. After 4 years of consecutive increases, FDI flows to Latin America and the Caribbean, excluding then the offshore financial centers, fell 14% to $159 billion US. This was mainly due to a decline in cross-border M&As in Central America and the Caribbean and lower commodity prices, as well as increasing economic uncertainties in leading economies in the region. The drop in FDI took place in both regions, but was stronger in Central America and the Caribbean, where inflows returned to their normal values after unusual high values reached in 2013. And that was then due to some big M&As in Mexico. Developed countries have remained by far the largest source of FDI into Latin America and the Caribbean, although intra-regional FDI expanded in the 2000s, and that was something that Mr. Marie was referring to. Ladies and gentlemen, looking at prospects for the future, UNCTAD believes an FDI recovery is in sight. According to UNCTAD forecast models, global FDI inflows are projected to grow to 1.4 trillion in 2015, and we expect that this growth will continue in 2016 and 2017. Cross-border M&A purchases are on track to be well above the level of 2014, and developed countries should see a large increase in flows in 2015 due to stronger economic activity. However, a number of economic and political risks, including ongoing uncertainties in the Eurozone, potential spillovers from geopolitical tensions, terrorism, and persistent vulnerabilities in emerging economies may yet disrupt the projected recovery.
I have said on more than one occasion in the early days of my appointment as Minister of Business that one of our government's goals is for Go Invest to become the region's best performing investment promotion agency by the year 2020. I have since had the opportunity to become more acquainted with the work and performance of some of our regional IPAs. And as I stand here at this CAIPA forum, I think it might be a good thing for me to admit that what I was contemplating was perhaps a little ambitious. Notwithstanding my aspirations for Go Invest, I am of the firm view that it is through our regional strategies and efforts that we will achieve our greatest successes in increases in foreign direct investment into our individual economies. We are small countries with small economies, small budgets, and small populations. And if we are to prosper rather than simply survive, we need to promote ourselves as a single economic space with a diversified portfolio of opportunities rather than as separate individual jurisdictions, each with its own small voice. And so today we are gathered here for the CAIPA Annual General Assembly Conference under the theme Strengthening Our Investment Promotion Platforms, and essentially to deal with the business of increasing our share of the global investment pie, perhaps from a sliver to a real slice. For us in Guyana, it is both an honor and a privilege to be hosting this year's meeting, and it is my hope that your deliberations over the next 2 days and the decisions that you take will contribute to a sustained long-term effort to bring about the increases in FDI that our region requires for its economic development. Guyana, through Go Invest, has benefited from its membership in CAIPA through training in areas such as marketing for investment promotion professionals, investor facilitation, and investor aftercare and monitoring, as well as by attending regional stakeholder conferences. Guyana intends to participate more meaningfully in the work of CAIPA going forward because we see potential in a regional approach to overcoming many of the challenges that we face as individual small economies competing for investment capital in a highly competitive global environment. Each one of our countries has attractive investment opportunities that can provide attractive returns on investments. Guyana has 10 regions, each with its own opportunities for doing business. We would like to be able to promote these within the framework of a regional investment promotion strategy that can link us to the global investment community under a recognized regional Caribbean brand. This year's AGM will further consolidate the efforts of CAIPA to rebrand our region as a good place for doing business. Guyana is keen to play a full role in the work of this important regional body and will do so through Go Invest. I am a newcomer to the business of investment promotion agencies and therefore do not have the experience that many of you might have. However, when I read the agenda for this AGM and saw references to the CAIPA strategic plan, FDI accounting software, digital promotional campaign for CAIPA, I knew that this meeting has all the main ingredients for a productive 2 days of discussion and decision making. As you elect your officers and develop your work plan for the upcoming year, I know that there are many common challenges that we in our respective countries face when it comes to attracting foreign investments into our economies. A project here and a project there are not going to transform our region into the buzzing business hub that we need it to be in order to provide the opportunities that our people will need on a sustained and sustainable basis in the decades ahead. The theme, strengthening our investment promotion platforms, is not only relevant, but it is an imperative if we are going to rely on our IPAs to secure the capital inflows required to drive our economies and build our nations. I'd like to use Guyana as an example. The level of foreign direct investment into Guyana each year is not necessarily attributable to the work of Go Invest. A certain amount of foreign investment will wind up in our economy regardless of what our IPAs do or do not do. And while it is important that we understand what attracts these investments, it is perhaps even more important for us to be aware of the investments that are not coming our way, so that we can identify opportunities for diversification that require interventions. Here in Guyana, the goal of economic diversification has eluded us for decades, and achieving this goal will be one of our greatest challenges as a government. Nevertheless, we must find ways to promote those sectors which have traditionally not attracted much investment. I'm speaking here about sectors that we know have potential, such as agro-processing, wood products, light manufacturing, ICT, the jewelry industry, the garment industry. What is it that makes these industries successful in other parts of the world, but not in Guyana? What are some of the obstacles to having these industries operating successfully in our economy? And how do we dismantle these obstacles so that we can attract the investments needed to develop these sectors? If there are deficiencies in our policies or legislation that limit the ability of investors to enjoy healthy returns on their investments in certain sectors, then they need to be identified and steps taken to correct them. Policy advocacy is one of the roles of Go Invest, and this role has to become an important and relevant role within the realm of developing a viable and sustainable value-added sector in Guyana. Available data suggests that over the last decade, Guyana was able to enjoy a relatively high ratio of FDI to GDP, around 10%, without the benefit of a well-developed and diversified economy. So we need to be careful about the type of data and information that we use to assess our country's economic well-being. We need to utilize standard methodologies when it comes to assessing the performance of Go Invest. So as far as Guyana is concerned, we are currently paying the price for not diversifying away from our dependence on primary products, because demand for most of our export commodities has eased, and this is now adversely impacting our economy and exposing our vulnerability. And so for us, it is important to know that there are initiatives dedicated to raising the profile of the Caribbean in the international business arena. The development of the Regional Investment Promotional Strategy is particularly noteworthy in this regard, and I wish to commend the Caribbean Export Development Agency, CARIBExport, for driving this initiative. The sectors chosen for investor targeting under the proactive promotion component of the strategy, namely alternative energy, business processing, outsourcing, information, communication and technology, the niche tourism and health and wellness sectors, are those identified with the help of an investor perception survey carried out on behalf of Caribbean Export. And therefore, we can expect these sectors to be the ones through which our IPAs can make the greatest impact on our economies. The targeting of impact investors for what I refer to as base of the pyramid, BOP type projects, new terminology for me, as well as the targeting of the Caribbean diaspora as a source of investment and also as a means of disseminating information to prospective investors, will certainly bear fruit if implemented within the context of a proactive promotion program. The regional investment climate component of the strategy has several elements that address areas in which we have continuously frustrated businesses and which are now making us less attractive as an option for investors than jurisdictions which have long ago dealt with these matters. I'm referring specifically to customs harmonization and automation systems, regional unification of visa regime with a focus on business visas, roadmap for the identification of bottlenecks and streamlining procedures in land registration, a strategy for the launch and use of alternative energies, and a program for the development and strengthening of workforce productive skills and capacities based on investors' needs. So I'm encouraged by this strategy, RIPS as it is known, because there is tremendous value in tackling common problems through common solutions. In fact, the only thing worse than us continuing to leave some of these matters unaddressed would be for us to tackle them haphazardly. So RIPS is definitely timely, and we here welcome the initiative. In conclusion, I believe it is to our advantage that we continue to increase cooperation between regional IPAs, sharing experiences and information that can enhance the regional knowledge base on investment promotion. I hope that this cooperation will manifest itself during your meetings here in Guyana in the form of a renewed enthusiasm and a sharper focus on what we as a region need to do in order to successfully promote our region as one that is ready to do serious business and one where serious business can be done. I wish you a fruitful 2 days in Guyana, and I thank you for your attention.